Please join us while we explore this nice Norwegian retreat hotel that have some really good food. And then we check out Oslo, the capital of Norway's Opera House with some amazing views. Is that some breakfast, Matthew? Look at this view. Yeah, we'll get you.
Do you want to taste a little bit of my emmet, if you like that?
I think I got green shots. Our family friend is the director of operations here at this retreat hotel out in the woods of Norway, and I'll explain a little bit what this place is all about. It's basically a place where they emphasize healthy eating and eating a vegetarian diet and so forth, and people come here to learn about eating healthier and about relaxation and so forth. It's probably something I would actually benefit, maybe lose some weight. Because we did a lot of traveling that week in Norway, we decided to take a little break and let the kids play with my relatives' kids. They are pretty small kids and they liked playing there together. So what was interesting is that we found out that these woods out here, the government was clearing a road, and my cousin asked them if he could take the wood for himself so that he could use to heat his house. Now, what I find it interesting is that the government said, yeah, sure, go ahead, you could take this wood. And you can see there him cutting it in pieces. Now, what I find really interesting about Norway is that I had a couple of viewers comment about how it's normal. You could just walk on people's property and you could fish and camp and so forth, and it's completely legal. Something that it's totally new to me, because here in the United States, if the government on their federal property cuts any kind of trees, you're not allowed to go there and pick it and take it for yourself. Here in Norway, it's actually encouraged. And you know, if somebody has a property and you see some wood and so forth, you could easily go there and obviously ask for permission, and you could get that wood, because that's one way they heat their house here in the wintertime. But we really enjoyed our stay there at our cousin's place. You could see how beautiful and full of green and nature the place is. All right, one more adventure before we leave Norway, that is. We were going to check out the Opera House there in Oslo, and where we parked the car, there was this building that we stumbled in, and I thought at first, just looking at it, there was an art exhibit, because they had these really cool lights and so forth that were on the walls. And I asked a lady there working, I said, what is this? And she said, oh, this is a public library. So I was actually really surprised to see how beautiful the public libraries are here in Norway. You guys are reading. You want to look at books? Read some books before we go? Well, we walked across the street, and there was the Opera House, the famous landmark in Oslo, the capital of Norway. What makes this an interesting opera house is the fact that you can walk on the roof of it. Most places you get arrested to go on the roof, but not here in Oslo, and they purposely did that. They wanted to bind nature and Norwegians' love of going and exploring and not having any kind of the freedom, and that's why they had this rooftop where you could just climb up. And up here also they have concerts in the summertime. As you can see, you get a really great view of the city of Oslo. We got there right at dusk. The plan was to get to this opera house in the daytime so I could get some really cool shots of the opera house at during the day. But it took us a little bit of time to get out and say goodbye to all our family and friends there. And by the time we got to the opera house in Oslo, it was already dark. But just to give you some interesting background about this opera house, it was completed in 2008, and the roof is made of marble that was imported from Italy, and there's 36,000 blocks of it. And they like to say it's a unique carpet. One interesting fact that I find a little bit fascinating is that they started working on this opera house back in 2003, and it was completed just a couple of years later in 2007, and it was ahead of schedule and below budget. They saved $52 million out of the $760 million project. So that's pretty good to be able to save that much money. Now, those big windows that you see there, those are 50 meters high, or approximately 49 feet tall, and they build it that way so that you have this great view of the harbor and it's not obstructed. And also, what's interesting is the way that they designed the roof. They made it at an angle so that you could just freely flow naturally, and it is, when you get there, you just kind of wander yourself up onto the top of the roof. So they did that purposely so you could just feel like, hey, I'm just gonna walk up here on this roof here. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, this was our last stop in Oslo in Norway to see the opera house, and it was on my bucket list. I've always wanted to see this opera house. And just looking back on our trip in Norway, we were there for 5 days, 6 nights. Our family really enjoyed Norway. My wife really enjoyed it. I think what made Norway such a beautiful place is just the people. I found the people very friendly, very genuine, and just seemed to be very relaxed and very open. And that kind of translated in our just the joy that we had there in Norway of experiencing this beautiful country. I talked to my wife about it, and we definitely want to go back to Norway. And I will do a video, because a lot of people say, oh, it's so expensive in Norway, and I'm gonna do a video soon about how much it costs us to travel to Norway and some ways to save money when traveling to Norway. So please stay tuned. On that video will be coming up shortly. Guys, ready to go down, huh?
Yeah.
Ready to go down? Down we go.
Let's go super slowly, please.
Yeah, we'll go really
Yeah,
slow.
I'm gonna let Daddy hold you. Be strong.
Join us next week while we do a long haul flight back to America and see how our kids did on this flight. Well, thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and please consider subscribing to our channel. Thank you, and like always, keep on traveling.